It's time for Show Off Sunday, where everyone has a chance to show off their own car, and here's this week's winner.
I needed to get a new car, and I really didn't like the idea of driving off the lot and having my car immediately depreciate, and that's when I came across the FJ Cruiser. I was looking for something that was incredibly reliable, was made with common model parts. The FJ is made with 4Runner, Tacoma, and Tundra parts, so they're easy to get. It's very unique, it's fun, and it really retains its value because they last forever, which explains why they've been going up in value since they left the North American market in 2014 and the worldwide market in 2018. They've actually been appreciating, and after having it for about a month, I can see why. Thankfully, I was able to find one with only 10,000 miles on it, and it's practically brand new. It's unique, it's over the top, and I love it. Thanks to Scotty Kilmer for inspiring me to buy a used truck. In 2007, the FJ Cruiser debuted at the Detroit Auto Show as a concept vehicle. Toyota never intended on manufacturing the FJ Cruiser, but it received so much attention that the normally risk-averse Toyota Motors took a chance and decided to mass produce it. The FJ Cruiser has its roots in two of Toyota's most iconic trucks, the FJ40 Land Cruiser and the Prado Land Cruiser, both renowned for their reliability, their off-road capability, and just absolute durability. And to retain this, they built the FJ Cruiser in the Prado plant in Homura, Japan by Hino Motors, where they also used the body-on-frame design and the suspension of the Prado Land Cruiser on the FJ. The FJ was actually designed and tested in Southern California, which makes sense. It's feels like it belongs here. It's really great for weekend activities. It excels on the sand, gravel, and on the dunes, but it makes for a really good daily driver as well. It's incredibly safe, and the off-road capabilities can deal with the terribly maintained Los Angeles roads. Another great thing about the FJ is just how versatile it is, and how many modifications are available to fit all of that versatility. And again, Toyota did something a little against character. The company tried something they had never tried before, which is during the design phase, they invited in aftermarket parts makers and accessory makers to come in and take measurements so that the aftermarket parts would be available immediately upon release of the FJ. And this has really created a very large market in modifications. There, if you don't like something about the FJ, you can change it. As an homage, the FJ Cruiser has a headlight and grille assembly that is the same as the one that was on the FJ40, which was originally designed to resemble the eyelets of a samurai warrior mask, as it was built initially as a military vehicle. Another interesting note about the FJ is that it's the only model in Toyota's fleet that actually has Toyota spelled out across the grille, as opposed to having the Toyota emblem. The hood scoop is completely non-functional, but hey, it looks cool. The FJ also has a very angled windshield, much like the FJ40 Land Cruiser, and there are 3 wiper blades. One of the downsides of this setup, as far as the angle of the windshield, is that small rocks and gravel might kick up, and pretty much every FJ owner I've talked to has had to replace their front windshield, if not once, several times, and they're not cheap. FJs come standard with a roof rack. It's a really cool looking roof rack, but unfortunately it creates a lot of cabin noise along with the very angled front windshield, and it's fairly useless. If you're doing any serious camping or overlanding, you'll want to get an aftermarket roof rack. The FJ is a kind of a 4-door. It's really a 2-door with 2 smaller suicide doors, really not convenient for backseat passengers, especially if you've got family or kids, but they look cool and they swing out really far if you're in a tight parking spot, which you usually are in the FJ unless you're off-road or fjording a river, which you can because the seats are water resistant, the floorboards are all plastic, allowing for very easy cleanup. The FJ is actually designed to handle up to 28 inches of water with a lifted air filter and a body designed to push water away. Akio Nishimura, the lead engineer of the FJ, said the plastic might look cheap, but it's way easier to clean up in the end. The FJ comes with a traction control off button, a rear diff locker, and the A-track control, which is really all you normally need. The four-wheel drive controls are manual. The engineers really wanted you to have the feel of being in a four-wheel drive vehicle as opposed to going with the electronic system. And you'll notice the dummy buttons on the dash, which are for modifications, light bars, etc. The FJ also has a 115 volt 400 watt power inverter, which is great for camping and power tools. The Toyota factory radio is actually pretty good. It's a 6-disc CD changer. I mostly use the Bluetooth, but it's got some good sound to it. There is an inclometer for rock crawling that I have no idea how to use, an outside temperature gauge that I also don't know how to use because I live in Los Angeles, and an illuminated compass. The driver has his own glove box in the FJ Cruiser, which actually is good because there's no storage in the FJ, so I'll take what I can get. Apparently, a lot of the FJs came standard with a sat-nav unit, and that's where it's sat, so you can keep an eye on the road and reference your location. At first, I thought, wow, they just didn't have a lot in 2012. You know, it's really sparse and simple in here. And then I see stuff like an auto-dimming rear-view mirror and a backup camera, and I realize the other things were actual choices they made. Toyota, long before it became popular in other similar kinds of trucks, they put a inverter in the back, and you know, it's great for camping. A lot of people use them for small refrigerators, but there's just not enough space back there for more than 2 people on a weekend trip. You know, if you have a family, it's not the ideal vehicle for road trips, etc. But these 2 guys, it's just the right size. In 2008, Toyota launched the Trail Teams edition of the FJ Cruiser. Only 2,500 would be manufactured each model year, containing Toyota racing development components such as 17-inch alloy rims and Toyota racing development brakes, Bilstein Sport Tune shocks, rock rails, a skid plate running the length of the undercarriage, and various other bells and whistles to increase the off-road performance of the vehicle even further. For the Trail Teams edition, Toyota ditched the iconic white hood that you'll see on most FJ Cruisers and painted the Trail Team models one solid color, each year a specific custom color, 2012 being radiant red, and adding those accents to the seats, and in the 2012 edition is the only edition to have the accent on the steering wheel. They also blacked out several components like the mirrors and body trim pieces. When I purchased the FJ, it had the Bilstein shocks removed, Fox 2.0 shocks installed with a ABOC coilover and a 2-inch level and lift. The FJ Cruiser is powered by Toyota's V6 4-liter variable valve timed engine, which puts out about 239 horsepower at 5,200 RPM and 271 foot-pounds of torque. In the city, you get about 17 miles a gallon, on the highway about 22. It's not as bad as I would have thought it would be. I've had other SUVs that got far worse than this. It's a fairly efficient engine, and as everyone knows, it's very, very reliable and hopefully will last quite a long time. The FJ Cruisers are a really unique vehicle, so there's no wonder it created a unique enthusiast community around them. You can find a really great group at fjcruiserforums.com, where there are people all over the world who own an FJ and get together to help each other out. Thanks again to Scotty Kilmer for having me on his channel and allowing me to show off my new-to-me 2012 Toyota FJ Cruiser Trail Teams Edition.
Well, that was this week's video, and remember, to have your car video highlighted here on my channel, check this out! So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.